Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're here with the Vampire Counts, going to be taking on the Lizardmen, which can potentially be a pretty tough matchup, so let's go ahead and take a look at the list I've brought here. So we've got Red Duke up in the air on his dragon. It's going to give him a lot of hitting power. He's got Elsif, Invocation of Nehek, Dance Macabre, and Raise Dead are the spells. We've also got Foe Seeker and, of course, Elsif, which is an extremely powerful debuff. He's also got the Dragon Breath, of course, being up on a dragon. We've got double Terrorgeist here, so lots of anti-large, armor-piercing air power. Of course, the Red Duke is not anti-large, but these Terrorgeists definitely are. They've also got poison damage, not the best melee attack, but that's why you bring the Dance Macabre. They do have very heavy armor-piercing damage and bonus versus large of 35. They've also got this Death Shriek ability, which is good specifically against large targets. Large armored targets are the best. But yeah, large targets in general, large single model entities or cav, this Death Shriek is going to be very powerful against them. For the rest of the army, we've got just Chaff here to hold up the center. We've got 4 zombies and a mix of skeleton spearmen and skeleton warriors. We've also got a Mortis Engine and Corpse Cart just to hold up this center, and again, the Mortis Engine is here to deal damage to elite tier infantry. We've also got a Banshee to help deal with armored dinos. If she's sitting in a group of zombies or skeletons, because of the ways the splash attacks work, they're going to have a hard time hitting to her directly because she's ethereal, and the Lizardmen don't have a ton of magic damage. They do have a few units with magic damage, but in general, you know, Banshees are a pretty decent pick against them to help take out big dinos. They do armor piercing. Again, not the best melee stats, but they are pretty solid overall. And that's pretty much it for my army. Pretty basic, kind of anti-large armor piercing goon army. And let's go ahead and take a look at the Lizardmen list now. And one of the main reasons I wanted to show this battle, and we're going to take a look at one more, is that my opponent has not brought a caster. Now, typically I won't cast battles where my opponent doesn't bring a caster because, number one, magic is incredibly powerful and there's no reason you should ever not take a caster. And in a lot of cases, you know, you forget. I've even forgot, famously in Best of 5, I forgot against Gobbo King to take a caster into battle. And it's not that you can't win without a caster. It's just that it's pretty much always beneficial to have a caster if you're not playing the dwarfs, obviously, because they can't take one. But for anyone else, magic is incredibly powerful, and you need a caster in every single matchup. So, yeah, normally I don't cast that, but I wanted to sort of highlight here a couple of battles where my opponent didn't bring a caster and what could have gone differently if they had. So in this particular battle, we've got Krokgar up on Grimlock. Again, no other heroic units, no caster or anything. We've also got a Bastille Dawn with a Solar Engine, a Revification Crystal, so we do have some form of healing here with this Revification Crystal here to do some healing and so on. We've also got some Saurus Spears out to the flanks, a Temple Guard in the center, 2 Temple Guard, with a front line of skink cohorts. Looks like a 3rd Temple Guard up defending that Laser Lizard, and we've got 2 Chameleon Skinks out towards the flanks. So let's kick the battle in full gear. We'll watch as things unfold. First things first, we're going to be moving up and doing some Death Shrieks on this Bastille Dawn with the Solar Engine here. The Dragon Breath, you can see, didn't do too much damage. The Hand of the God's going to come there and clip the Red Duke and do a little bit, you know, 10%, so a little bit of tit for tat there. But the Death Shriek from these Terrorgeists will do quite a bit of damage. We're also targeting that Revification Crystal. I realized, you know, this is probably more of a high-value target, considering it's the sole healing option that my opponent has beyond Krokgar's own Cold-Blooded. So, yeah. Just going to be moving up all across the board. Fortunately, my front line is very, very slow, so you can see I've got the Banshee hidden in the forest here because this Laser Lizard does do magic damage, and 1 or 2 pops on the Banshee can do quite a bit of damage, so I want to try and keep her out of reach of that laser, if at all possible. It also does fire damage, so it is going to be decent to shoot at things like the Mortis Engine or Corpse Cart with the Laser Lizard, so I definitely like that pick in this matchup. Again, I like my opponent's army for the most part. I'm not the biggest fan of Saurus Spears, but I like my opponent's army for the most part here. It's just the only thing it lacks is a caster, and you know, with that it could potentially be very, very powerful and tough to deal with. But we're going to be summoning up some zombies, trying to get on this laser lizard here to interrupt it from firing. You can see we're just kind of poking and prodding with these terror guys, coming in for a quick charge and then immediately pulling back up into the air as quickly as possible to not take too much damage from Krokar there. But yeah, that's going to be the name of the game, is just picking away at these isolated dinos with the heavy hitters here. And you can see Temple Guard and Solar Spears obviously mixed in on here are going to do quite a bit of damage to my units as well, so I don't want to sit here and take this damage for too long. But of course the terror guys have regeneration, so as long as I'm able to get back up in the air, we'll be able to regenerate again. And if push comes to shove, I can go towards my own lines, which have now caught up with the skinks here. You can see these skinks fighting in the pits against these skeleton and zombies and so on. Got the Mortis engine on station. Beautiful cinematic combat in this very vampire-themed map. I feel it's very lore-friendly to be fighting here. Skinks are not going to hold up to the terror of the terror guys too well, and all the spooky, scary skeletons and the draining and so on. So they're going to rout, even with most of their HP just due to terror there. And we're going to be able to start tying up a lot of these more high-value units in the back line, which is definitely what I want to be doing. Again, just kind of poking and prodding. Trying to single out isolated units with these flyers and just kind of monster mash them, do a bit of an alpha strike, if you will. But yeah, you can see the laser lizards coming in there, not doing as much as I would have thought against that Mortis engine actually. But Krokar's here kind of chilling by this Sildon here, so we're going to go ahead and unleash the Death Shriek. And you can see it doesn't do that much damage, but it's pretty solid, and considering, you know, if you bring 2 Terror Guys, you get 6 in total. It can definitely do a lot of damage over the course of a battle. So nice Hand of the Gods there coming in on the Red Duke. He started to take a bit of damage, but we still got plenty of healing left. If push comes to shove as well, I can just kind of fly over this Mortis engine here, and I believe the healing effect will actually heal the Red Duke. So yeah, no modifier there pertaining to flying units, so it should heal him, as well as the Corpse Cart with the Unholy Lodestone. So far so good. Again, just dropping in with these terror guys here. The Temple Guard trying to respond as best they can, but in this situation, this is what you want to do. If you're trying to pull back up into the air, you need to pull through your own lines so that you know, units of infantry like this aren't just continuously chasing you. Or if you know, for example, if he had a more mobile unit, Cold One Spear Riders or something like that. Again, running back through your own lines is the safest way to get back up into the air, if you have the ability to. You can see the Banshee's over here. She's kind of been tied up in skinks, honestly, and hasn't been super effective up to this point in the battle. But we're going to try and get her in on Krokar. Unfortunately, again, she's going to get mucked up in these Sora Spears because I didn't quite get her all the way up and around here. But yeah, a little bit of a grind out at this point. We're going to bring the Red Duke down to attack these Chameleon Skinks, but honestly, this is going to be a bit of a mistake, just because the Red Duke only has 70 armor, so this other unit of Chameleon Skinks that's kind of layered behind them is going to end up doing a lot of damage to him. It won't be the best engagement for the Red Duke, but, you know, I'm feeling relatively confident that we can kind of grind things out at this point. We've been able to mostly deal with the Laser Lizard here. You can see him getting routed off, trying to run away, and Krokar's not in a position to protect against the Terror Guys. You can see him scurrying over this way, but we've been able to rout off this Bastildon, so we're going to be able to get back up into the air and, you know, hopefully go next after this Bastildon. Maybe we can keep one of these guys on the ground and then circle the other one around to try and get on the Revivification Crystal there. You can see, though, that my infantry line is definitely suffering. I mean, the balance power is still very close at this point. Zombies and skeletons, obviously, are not going to hold up to Saurus and Temple Guard, so you're essentially on a timer in that sense. The Banshee, though, can be very, very good at doing this. She forces a nice blob up here. She's not going to take too much damage, and then allows the Black Dragon to come in, or sorry, the Zombie Dragon to come in and do that massive breath there. So, going to be summoning up some zombies. Again, we're just trying to tie down these infantry for as long as possible and allow this Mortis engine to just drain things out here. But at this point, you can see terror is definitely becoming an issue for the Skinks. They're relatively lower leadership. I mean, they have solid leadership overall, but definitely lower than something like a Saurus. Not going to hold up to being rear charged by a Terror Geist there. Krokar realizing that he needs to get on this Mortis engine here, but now that he's isolated himself away from his Temple Guard, we're going to come in for the Alpha Strike, dropping that LC. He has popped Deadly Onslaught here. We've got the Terror Geist, the Mortis engine, even the Corpse Cart. You know, these zombies are doing their part, swinging their little paddles around and stuff. But yeah, Red Duke's going to be summoning up some zombies here as well, just to kind of do some hits, or soak some hits rather. But yeah, you can see the Red Duke's taking a pummeling here, and this is actually probably not the best engagement for me, although the more damage we're doing to Krokar, the more it's tipping the balance of power in my favor. But you can see these skinks just an absolute menace on station, doing a ton of damage to the Red Duke. I'm at my healing cap with him as well, so I cannot regenerate anymore. So the Red Duke is at this point going to crumble at some point. It's just a matter of when. So we've got the Terrorgeist though switched on to Krokar, and it should be able to do okay. It's a little bit dicey. Anytime you lose your leadership with the vampire counts, it can potentially be a very, very rough situation. But thankfully for me, we're able to rout Krokar with the Terrorgeist there. You can see the Red Duke's going to crumble. He's going to drop down onto these Saurus and then immediately fall over. So Red Duke's offline. That's going to be pretty rough for me, but we're far enough ahead on the bounce power that I'm confident we can pull things out here. Gary, the Revivification Crystal fighting. Finally, we're going to get the Banshee in here and try and do some work. I mean, obviously, fighting against Temple Guard, she does have armor piercing. She'll be able to do a bit of damage there, but the main target I want to go after is Gary here. So you can see this nasty little Banshee getting in there, sticking her little dagger in his side. Very uncomfortable, I'm sure, for poor Gary. But yeah, at this point, it's just a matter of draining out the rest of these Temple Guard. You can see the Corpse Cart does get caught up and destroyed there, but the Mortis Engine's still online. Krokar is fleeing, so we'll go ahead and fast forward to this late game cleanup as Krokar gets chased off the side of the map there with that Terrorgeist. And the Mortis Engine does get a little bit caught up here, but you can see the drain effect and the terror is really, really tough on these Lizardmen units, especially when I have them enraged like this. I can keep them within range of that Mortis Engine effect, and there's not too much they can do there, so we're going to try and use the terror bombing of the Terrorgeist to just kind of cheese out a win. A little bit cheesing, but I mean the balance of power is so far in my favor that I don't feel that it's necessarily very, very cheesy. But yeah, you can see Mortis Engine's relatively healthy. It is close to its healing cap, but very, very high HP overall. Terrorgeist just each individually kind of pushing units off. We've brought the Banshee back around to try and force a big blob here to then have the Mortis Engine drain, but my opponent doing what he should, kind of keeping his units spread out, but that is eventually going to lead to army losses there. So well played to my opponent, honestly. He played that very, very well, exactly what he should have done. You know, stay calm, try and screen out anytime I come out onto the ground with those Terrorgeist, screen with Krokar or the Temple Guard. It's exactly what he should have done. The only problem is that since he didn't have a caster, you know, he struggled a little bit in some different areas. So let's talk about things a little bit here, because I'm trying to help you guys out, and I see a lot of people not taking casters on battle, and I'm curious to know why. You know, if you guys play battles and you don't bring a caster for whatever reason, let me know in the comments down below. I think that most of the time you guys would probably want to bring a caster, but let's go ahead and take a look in this specific matchup, because oftentimes the magic that you're using is going to be matchup specific, and maybe that's where people are getting confused. Let me know in the comments down below. Would you guys like me to do like a guide for the different lores of magic and maybe different you know, ways that you can use them? Because most of the time, especially with the lores of magic that are common across multiple races, like Heavens for example, you know, they can be useful for the same thing for multiple different factions. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about that. But let's just briefly think about some things here. So if we're fighting the vampire counts, and we're taking Krokar as the lord, that limits us to 2 lores of magic, either beasts or heavens, both of which can be good options here. But let's talk about what the differences are. So heavens has a number of very, very strong area of effect damaging abilities, and then a couple of very solid buffs and a buff and a debuff. So if we go ahead and look at beasts here, it has an area of effect damage ability. You can summon a Manticore, and then it has a number of buffs and debuffs. So overall, a more support focused lore. But because we're going to be facing a lot of chaff units against the vampires, I'll go ahead and take Heavens here, and we'll take the area of effect damaging abilities to try and clear out as many chaff units as possible. So, for example, we're going to take Wind Blast here, and if you guys are ever curious, you can come in here, look at the caster, and if you right-click on this spell, it'll actually bring up this spell browser here. It has all the lores of magic in the game, which can look a little bit overwhelming at first, but let's just focus in on Lore of Heavens specifically. So the area of effect damaging abilities here, Wind Blast is a targeted wind spell, which you guys have probably seen across multiple lores of magic. Many different lores of magic have wind spells, but it's yeah, I guess it would technically be a breath spell, not a wind spell, but yeah, it's an aimable ability, kind of a cone attack, and you can do an area of effect damage. Very good against low armor targets, and if you overcast it, which if you're ever curious about an overcast effect, you click this button right here, and it shows you the overcast effect. In battle, you simply double click the spell to overcast it. But yeah, area of effect damage, good against low armor targets. So again, you think about things like skeleton warriors, zombies, even things like crypt ghouls. All of those, it's going to be very good at clearing out, since you tend to see a lot of chaff units as the vampire when you're fighting the vampires. I recommend this Lord of Magic. You also have Chain Lightning, which is a vortex spell. Vortexes have been made significantly better in Total War Warhammer 2, especially if you're facing a really blobby faction like the vampires that kind of gets buffs from blobbing up around a Mortis engine and, you know, different kinds of things like that. So Chain Lightning can be also a very good spell, even for clearing out elite armored infantry like Graveguard. Very, very good spell. Comet of Cassandora and Uranan's Thunderbolt are two bombardment abilities that are also area of effect damage. Comet of Cassandora is pretty expensive, but it does a massive amount of damage. Can even take down elite tier cavalry like Blood Knights. But Blood Knights aren't a super common pick right now, so personally I would rather invest my magic into area of effect damaging abilities that are a little bit wider area of effect and better against you know, a greater number of unit models, since again you'll tend to see lots of zombies and skeletons when fighting the vampires. So take the Skink Priest Lord of Heavens here. It's pretty safe to put him up in the air. Pterodons are very fast, and especially if you back him up with like a Skink Chief up in the air, it's going to be very hard for your opponents to catch him if you're on top of your micro. So something like this, where you take Chain Lightning and Wind Blast in this particular matchup, would definitely be helpful, and it would have enabled my opponent to clear out that chaff faster, which then would have allowed his high-value armor-piercing units to get on my kind of more high-value units like the Red Duke, you know, the Terrorgeist and the Mortis Engine, and so on. So just thought I'd kind of make this little PSA video. I know we said we were going to take a look at another battle, but this video is getting a little long as it is. It's about 15 minutes or so. So let me know in the comments down below where you want me to go from here in this kind of mini-series, I guess you could call it. Do you want me to go through the different lores of Magic and maybe do like a showcase battle and then kind of talk about the lore? Would you rather me just kind of show you directly against like the AI or something, what the different spells do? You know, you guys let me know in the comments down below. I want to highlight the different lores of Magic so that more people are bringing casters on ladder, because guys, it's always in your favor to take a caster, so please remember to do so. So yeah, if you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'm keeping it coming with more Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day, so stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.